All right, and we are recording. Everything looks good. What's up, everybody that's watching this at some later date? My name is Kyle. Obviously, I'm talking to Adian Martin today. Adian is a solar pro. He's been in the industry for a while, and I'm excited. This is my first time talking to him, but I know he has a lot of good stuff to share. So, Adian, thank you so much. Can you give us a little bit about your story, your background, how you came to solar, and where you're at today?
Yeah. Actually, I haven't even been in solar that long. I've been in the industry for like maybe 3.5 years at the most. I used to own an air conditioning company here in Phoenix, and
so 3.5 years though is like decade in solar time because there's so many new people that come to the industry every single month. But I do know it's obviously not the longest, but that's a lot of time on the solar coaster.
It's an interesting. It feels like it's been a fast 3 years, to be honest, but. I owned an air conditioning company with a guy, and I used to do a lot of like energy reduction stuff, like AeroSeal. We did a ton of that, and insulation and installing AC units, obviously. And I had connected with the guy who sold solar at the time, who subcontracted me to do the AeroSeal for him for like years in multiple states. We were doing a ton of them, right? And so at some point in time, a buddy of mine, or actually he wasn't a buddy at the time, it was this random guy calls me and he says, "Hey, I need somebody to do AeroSale." His name's Keenan Knowles. He's all over these pages. And he comes down to my office, talks to me about doing AeroSale for him. And then we just start talking about how the solar business works and like the red line models and stuff. And my eyes are just like, what the hell? Like this is a real thing, and I'm sure a lot of people have had that, like when they've done the math, what's the difference between $2 and $3 or whatever, you know what I mean? It's pretty easy to figure out, like, you gotta be kidding me right now. So him and I actually bought some leads from a company, some age data, called some leads, got a couple sales from it. And I lost complete interest in doing any kind of air conditioning work. So, I don't want to get too much into detail on what caused me to get into solar, it's super negative, but, I kind of had to make a choice are you still there?
I'm still here. I just took myself off the screen so we could focus more on you. So anytime I disappear, I'm still there.
You vanished. I'm sitting here like, I was like, hold on, am I talking to myself right now? So basically this other guy had sold some shady deals through another installer. He wasn't getting paid on his projects. He owed me like $800,000 to do for AeroSeal that I had already done, right? And basically told me to kick rocks, and I had nothing left out of this business that I had built, right? He'd effectively embezzled all the money out of the company by just not paying the invoices from his solar company to our mutually owned air conditioning company. So I had like 20 grand left to my name, and I had a couple AC sales reps that worked for me and a couple guys that knew how to set appointments. So we went and bought some modernized leads, and we holed up in an office, probably not much bigger than this office that I'm sitting in my house right now. And we just started calling these leads, setting in home appointments, and going out and doing sales, So, it was kind of an interesting, wild ride. It was a little hairy there for a second, you know what I mean? But we were able to generate the sales, and, and it's really just kind of grown and built since. But
very similar to a lot of people, and like myself, I've talked about this a ton, but I was doing marketing, like helping lead generation, but for other businesses like appliance repairmen, roofers, real estate agents. And it was like every other industry was like very, very challenging and like a lot more work, and you could charge less and they get less results. And it was very, very stressful. And I remember my first solar, I was like, wait, you make how much? And I was like, these are the ads that are working at other people. I was like, this industry's what? This is crazy. And I think a lot of people that have that marketing and sales background, when they finally get it, it's just like the customer, when they have that light bulb moment where they understand that solar is a bill swap and you can have a bill that's less, but get the same. I mean, it's kind of the same thing where you realize it's like the same work, but the potential and the income opportunity is so much higher.
Yeah. And, it's a new product as well, right? And it's a blossoming kind of like intriguing product in a lot of ways, I mean, I was selling air conditioners prior, there's nothing sexy about air conditioners, it's like, hey, it makes your house cold, but I always loved the energy efficiency aspect of AC. Like that's why I got into doing like AeroSeal, and like we were part of the building performance program, doing like home energy audits, that kind of stuff. And to be honest, I always actually thought solar was kind of a joke before I had met this guy that kind of, whatever, that negative experience. But I had another solar company that was giving us aerosealing. He was doing like 8 jobs a month. And that was the impression for years that I had on solar. I was like, oh, you can't really sell a ton of this stuff, so whatever, I'll take your 8 aeroseals and it is what it is. And it was meeting that other guy. And, actually what caused me to do business with him is I said, hey, I see that you do solar, and do you do any kind of like aeroseal or whatever with your solar projects? And he's like, actually, I got like 400 projects right now that I can give you. You know what I mean? And I'm like, oh, this guy's out of his mind. And he hands me this giant spreadsheet, and I'm like, pages long, and I'm like, wait, these are all like installed and ready to go. He's like, yeah, we did these over the last 6 months or whatever. You know what I mean? And I'm like, yeah. I go back to my office. I tell all of my team, I'm like, hey, we're moving somebody out to San Antonio to go do these projects that this guy needs done. Right. And that's where I was like, okay, so this stuff sells a lot. It clearly makes a lot of money. You know what I mean? And it was just one of those things that it kind of just fell into alignment with what I was already doing. It was like a progression forward from something that I was already like somewhat involved in, just to a different level, So, we had always, go ahead.
I apologize. You mentioned that you had kind of converted your team that you had for AC and kind of converted them to solar. How were you guys calling cold data and leads for AC? Were you guys knocking doors? What were you doing as like your model of lead generation over there?
For when we were selling solar or with the air conditioning?
When you guys were selling air conditioning before you transferred over to solar.
Yeah, so we actually ran a cold call center, right? So we bought data for local homeowners in Phoenix, and we would schedule basically a basic inspection on their system for $50. It's pretty common here. Everybody has their systems checked out, at least once a year because it's so freaking hot outside. You know what I mean? So you would set those tune-ups up, and then I trained these guys how to go in and start out with that initial appointment and upsell into service contracts. And then eventually we would sell air conditioning systems out of those customers. So it was like a multi-tiered process to getting people to installing their units, right? So everything was cold data. Everything was, honestly, it was super inefficient. And, really, if anybody, like the way we do all of our sales, I've never knocked a door in my life. Especially with solar, I've never knocked a door. I've had some door teams that have worked for me, but I've never done door to door personally. I've always had call centers, and as I got into solar, I dived into lead generation to eliminate the bodies that you need to call. The way I was looking at it was this: when you cold call, the data is cheap, but the bodies are expensive. But the data kind of sucks, right? So like they might get a win once a week, twice a week. It's just, you're really just rifling through people and hoping that you get that one person that says, yeah, let's go ahead and do this, right? So a light bulb went off in my head. I'm like, well, what if I stop spending the money on the bodies and I spend the money on the data, right? And the data is a higher quality data. We'll go buy leads from somewhere and just have some of our better setters take those leads in and set appointments. Now they're going to see success on a daily basis, multiple times a day. So, and really my whole business model started with that one little idea, right? Where it was like, hey, this is probably smart. And I wish somebody had taught me this earlier in my life and I didn't have to figure it out myself, So from there, as I was pumping these modernized leads in, what happened was the leads kind of sucked. You were always battling the same companies. You knew they were shared and they were saying it was 2 companies, but it was probably like 7 or 8 because it was always 7 or 8 different companies that you were battling against.
No, they wouldn't lie to you.
Yeah, they wouldn't lie, right? So when it came to solar, I got the harebrained idea that I need to self-generate the leads online. I need to figure out what Modernize is doing to create this data, right? Because it couldn't be that much more expensive because they're selling it at a cheap rate, right? But now you're just generating the lead for yourself. You're not sharing it with 3 or 4 people, and so you can start to target places that you want to target. Like that's where the idea came up with that, and programs were in existence that you could sign up for that would teach you how to do that, So I'd first looked at one person's program and I decided to go with somebody else's program, and there we go.
There you go. So that's one of the things you see with online leads a lot is kind of make your system. People don't realize that the systems for different types of leads are different, meaning it's if you're going to do super cheap, you're going to buy this data, the number of callers and the conversation that they're having is completely different than if you get a fresh quality lead from a video ad that costs $50. Meaning if you have like an overseas call center or a call center with accents that maybe come across as not American, or it's obvious to the customer that this is kind of a call center calling them, then those are the types of, you want to make sure that you're not sending them high price leads, because it could be a waste. Because that's one of the things I found is when we moved to like some video ads and YouTube ads, and I was doing some of these for myself, and I post videos on YouTube and I get leads from it, and I'm like, these people, when I call them on the phone just because it's a higher quality, lower volume, and they're like, oh, hey, yeah, you're the guy from the video. I can't believe you're the one calling me. And it's like the people I talk to, it's a slam dunk that way. But if that's not the case, like if I'm getting $6 leads on Facebook, I don't want to spend my time calling them. So I got to find somebody that's cheaper to do that. But that's cool, man. You did HVAC to solar. Obviously solar was awesome. But you took everything that you had kind of learned from HVAC and applied it to solar. What was the like conversion rate like? Because I feel like a $50 AC checkup, even though you guys, I'm sure you were experienced and you had that kind of nailed in. What was like when you came to solar, did you see higher opt-in? Did you see lower opt-in? What was the kind of the numbers that you saw?
It's so much different. It's the fundamental thought process of the business is different, right? An air conditioning company is really a service-based business, right? At least when you're the full service air conditioning company, right? I installed the equipment. I had 17, 18 trucks on the road. We had logos and whatever, all that stuff. We were a decent sized HVAC company, but when going into solar, I could focus on just the one thing, which is just the conversion, right? Just the sale itself. So when you're dealing with the service-based business, the type of marketing that you're doing is naturally different, right? So like, I never paid for a single HVAC lead. We created those leads within our service customers, right? And so what we did is we crafted a really good pitch to get people to sign up for the maintenance contracts. We make it no-brainers, and they weren't super expensive, and we could stretch it out over monthly payments so that they weren't having to pay up front, right? So those clients were the ones that we sold the air conditioners to. So like conversion rates, it's pretty tough, but what I would say is we installed 20% of every service customer we installed an air conditioner for. That's the best way to look at it. So every time we would create a service-based customer, 20% of those at some point we installed an air conditioner for. But the company was only open for like 4 years. It's not like I'm only 35 years old. I've been self-employed since 25, and I've been in solar for the last 3.5, 4 years. You know what I mean? So we did, I mean, a good year in air conditioning was like $3 or $4 million, you know what I mean? In total, just sales, right? We did quadruple that our first year in solar, and we didn't even know what we were doing. You know what I mean? So it's like, it's just a whole different animal. So I would say that acquiring a customer in solar is so much easier though, because again, there's still that allure and the appeal to the product because it's not so well known, right? Yeah. You go to California and a ton of people know what solar is and how it works and blah, 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 blah. You have customers that are asking you what your red light is. Go call somebody in Virginia and tell me if you get the same response, right? You won't, so that allure and that appeal, the fact that it's a modern product, Tesla's making such a big run with their cars, people are starting to lean that way. It's just, you're seeing trends in the economy and the way we buy things and what is now cool. And it's that kind of stuff, right? Solar, Teslas, that kind of stuff is a cool thing. So, it was a natural, easy thought for me to jump into solar because one, the margins were great, but B, it was a product that like you're actually helping the customer, and like with AC, the goal was, hey, I want to sell you the best box I can because we make the most off of it, and that's just whatever. It's just that's the way that industry works. Where with solar, you kind of, it's fun to get a picture of somebody's electric bill that's been zeroed out or close to zeroed out from their solar system, or when you have it on your own house and you see it, you're like, oh, hey, this is pretty neat. You know what I mean? So that to me was one of the big kickers for me to just even make the jump. So
yeah, I mean, I think, like I said, it's a light bulb moment. Once you have that, once you get it, it's like, why would we not do this? Like, why would we not? From you, have you done any recruiting of other industries? Like when you're looking for solar salespeople, or when you talk to people that are in other industries, have you ever had success with kind of talking to other HVAC guys and being like, hey man, I mean, if you want to do better, come over here. Cause I think that's something that really a lot of the people that find a lot of success in the industry and solar have those relationships, and a lot kind of one of the things that separates them from other people is they don't necessarily know how to approach that conversation as well as they approach the conversation with the homeowner. So do you have any experience or any tips for kind of, I guess, recruiting salespeople that just aren't familiar with solar?
Yeah, I mean, the easiest thing is obviously you have to have a good ear for somebody that knows how to close, right? Like if you can't do that, you're gonna have a hard time recruiting people. But some of my best sales reps I pulled out of air conditioning actually, and some came from other industries, but rarely were my best reps people that I recruited from other solar companies. Actually, none of them ever were. Not one of my top producing reps on my historical database of reps that have worked for me, none of them that I recruited from other solar companies that are or already had solar experience are even in the top 10%. Maybe one guy. I can take one. But I have a guy that sells for me. He's not even in this country, who's produced more volume than every person that got the Golden Door Award at this last door-to-door con. Not combined, but he's put up more numbers than every one of those guys. And he doesn't even live in this country.
So how'd you find that guy?
What's that?
How'd you find that guy?
So we, a buddy of mine that I've known since I was about 14 years old, we went to high school together and we reconnected in our late 20s, decided that we were going to go down to Mexico and we were going to set up a corporation down there and we were going to recruit people to do, initially it was appointment setting, which that's not that uncommon, right? Like there's other guys in here that have run call centers that are based out of Mexico, but
of course
our strategy was, hey, we're going to teach these guys how to sell. We're not going to teach them how to be appointment setters. We want them to set and close the deals from Mexico, and they're going to get paid a very great rate for what they make in Mexico, what is possible down there, and it's going to be a very big win for us as well. And really the biggest dynamic shift was how heavy the work ethic is for that team. But we get very consistent results. They outproduce any team that I've ever, they're my best producing team. And when I shut down my doors for my office up here, I definitely kept that office going. Let's put it that way. But the thing is, we've just taught them a really intense process to manage leads and how to nurture leads, and they close a ton of deals, so it's been fun. So,
yeah, it's a very, gosh, I feel like it's been like the last 20 interviews. The thing that I've realized is I talk about solar needing to grow up. And what we're talking about is like operations and procedures. Like solar, the reason why you pull these people from other industries and they like have incredible success in solar is because in other industries, you have pressure from managers, you have goals on a weekly basis, you have like systems and processes, you have a whiteboard with like every single stat you could possibly do, and like it's like micromanaged. The process is completely streamlined, it's written out in every single step of the way. Everyone should know what they need to be doing, and there's a lot of pressure to perform because in that industries or most other industries, if you can't close 1 or 2 deals a month and like just chill, like, and that's what you can't do that in solar. And so it's kind of like people that have the systems and work ethic, and if they're able to bring that to solar, they can be they're going to have some of the most success that they can only dream of right now. And other people that come to sales and they come to solar first, they just realize that it's like, this is chill. Like I can do this. I can knock doors. I can close a few deals a month, but they don't have that, like the systemized, in a way, micromanagement that you get a lot of other industries and a lot of other companies.
It's a lot of really low drive is what I've seen, so like, if I have a rep that closes 1 deal a week, it's like, I don't even know their name usually. It's just not, to me, like whether you're self-generating or you're getting leads from another company, like there's a drive effort. I've seen guys knock doors and sell 7, 8, 9, 10 deals in a week. And I know that that's not a consistent long-term thing, right? But, what I've just always had a different approach to everything, like that's why door-to-door, I've never really understood it, the model. It's because I've never done door-to-door. So I've never been in one of those, Kool-Aid drinking culture situations. And, I'm just buying in to go out and self-generate for a company. Not that I knock the business model at all, because I've seen guys just literally take that to the moon, so it's just it's completely different. I've looked at the solar industry, especially as of late, and I feel like there's just flaws in the way things are set up. Like, installers really take the brunt of everything and they're the ones that also take the liability, and they take the, they have the hardest approach, right? When I was talking to an installer who was telling me he's making 7 cents on a project. I was talking to another installer that did like $150 million in sales in a market and lost $6 million. And to me, that's like not acceptable. Like that doesn't make sense, that the only reason these salespeople have this platform to be able to go out and crush the kinds of commissions that they do are the installers that actually take all the risk, the liability, set up the infrastructure for you to even be able to do that, right? So like, I'm taking a completely different approach to the way I'm looking at this industry, just off of personal experience, things that I hear from installers and everything. And, the model that I'm going to follow moving forward is just, it's a different approach, and so like, I don't know if you've seen me make posts about a new platform that I'm putting together online and all that kind of stuff, but really what I want to do is I want to make it so that these installers, hold on, that's probably not the best way to say it. I want to be able to provide value on my end as much as I can to anybody who's in this industry, but not just a one-sided, hey, I want sales reps to become millionaires. It's actually, I want a sustainable industry so that you can continue to operate and grow, and it can flex and bend the way it will need to as things merge and shift and change, right? Like right now we have all this brand new system installation that's happening, but when roofs cap out, it's going to turn into a very similar industry to the HVAC industry, where it's going to be replacement systems and stuff, things of that nature. And if there's no way to have a sustainable model throughout that, it could actually crash and burn companies left and right, so.
Well, and there's going to be a mass exodus of reps that aren't like all the solar reps that you were talking about that have come to the industry that maybe don't have the proper training. They're not used to being in any industry that's like that. And they're going to either struggle and go back to doing something else, or if there's another industry that pops up that's the new hot thing, they're just going to hop over there.
Yeah, they're out, and you've got the installers holding the bag, and the installer holding the bag without. So here's the thing, right? It doesn't come from like this holistic Jesus moment, right? It's like, if I want to continue to have the ability to do what I'm doing, the installers have to be profitable, right? Because that's how the bills get paid. If they go out of business, so do you. It's the final wipe, right? So I've just noticed so many people are going and looking for the lowest red line. It's $1.80s and $1.70s, and I'm like, well, the panels cost 60 cents. Their cost of operations is like another 70 cents. The inverter, you know what I mean? I'm like doing the math, and I'm like, man, you're going to squeeze these guys completely out, and they feel almost forced because the next installer will do it. So. What I've been doing is I've been going to installers and proposing different situations that aren't even the same type of business model as what they're used to. It's not even red line. It's not a red line, right? It's really like margins based off of the cost of the job with a fixed base to start, and then an increase for them to take the own liability of the marketing, right? So I have a huge background in doing digital lead generation. I've spent $4.2 million, I think, on Facebook, something like that. And so I'm going to installers who want to get creative with the way they're doing things and say, hey, why don't you guys fund the ad spend? I'll manage it with my marketing team. And then I'm going to create a course where I train reps for 90 days before they get access to these leads. But don't worry, I already have a team over here that can work them for now as we build your ad accounts and we grow them. So this whole platform that we're putting together is not a marketing agency. It's not like, everybody knows that I used to work with Bill Murphy and Cheat Code and all that stuff. And he's put me all over Facebook with his ads and stuff, right? And the last thing I really want anybody to think I'm trying to do is to like copy what he did. Like, I have no interest in teaching people how to generate leads. The reality is I've just always been a closer, and I want to teach people how to actually sell solar right. Like, my best day selling, me personally, was 5 deals in a row. I just did it all from a computer, just back and forth conversations, all virtual. And it was, like, don't get me wrong, it's not like an everyday thing, right? But like, the reason I was able to do that is the specific knowledge that I learned. Actually, a lot of it was like from Titan Solar Power and stuff like that I learned, that was like, okay, here's the way to have the conversation about this product where you sound intelligent enough about it, but you don't make people's eyes gloss over, and you get them to sign and close and get installed, right? And there's not a lot of that out there. There's not people teaching these reps how to do that. So within this platform, we've created like an entire 90-day course that will get you a certification at the end of it, which comes with tests, videos, like one-on-one training, all kinds of crazy crap. But the whole reason for doing that is so that when you're done, hey, guess what? We have this whole pool of leads that we can provide you, but I need to make sure I can trust you to work these the right way and that you're going to submit these to the right installer. And I've got 90 days to gut check myself before I give you access to any of this. And you're going to pay to do it because I'm going to give you a lot of my one-on-one time to teach you all this stuff that I already know how to do to speed up your process of getting into closing a lot of deals. So the goal is to just create a giant network of people that can plug in from any direction that they want. They don't have to sell a single deal through us. We can just do your marketing for you if you want. You don't have to do any marketing. You can just be trained up on sales through the courses if you want. But one of those byproducts is we open up other things to you once you've gone through and done that, So it's just, the whole point of it is to be able to offer the installers sales at a higher red line with a recoup on ad spend, right? So they're making their money in two parts, right? They're getting more money from the sales, they're getting increased volume, plus they don't actually technically risk the ad spend because it's coming back on the back end. And then the reps get free opportunities to sell without losing their ass on their own ad spend when they may not necessarily be ready for that yet. So it's like such a sharky industry that people are selling people these, marketing packages or this for insane amounts of money. And these guys may not even know how to close a deal yet. Right. So now they're getting leads and they're just like, hey, do you want solar? And it's like, no, buy, and they're just wasting their money. So I want to take a much more ethical, straightforward approach to how getting people into this stuff. And you're improving the overall effectiveness. You're doing the same thing we just talked about, which is kind of standardizing the training and the operations so that you shouldn't have high cancellation rates. You should know how each of your reps are selling. And that's one of the things, and that's another thing that we talk about a lot on here, because I think that is really the future, which is more and more companies, the successful companies, are going to bring more and more in-house, meaning it's just under one roof. So there's no disconnect between the lead generator and the appointment setter, and there's no disconnect between the appointment setter and the sales rep, because if they're all in the same house, there's no reason to hide information. There's no reason to hide what the ad said. There's no reason to lose there's no reason for someone to drop the ball, basically. Right. And the more we bring in-house, and if you can bring from marketing all the way through installation, that's just a huge value add. And it's going to, that's the thing that solar companies, you're seeing it already, and you're talking about it, which is you're not able to compete on redline forever. You can't just keep undercutting, because then there's nowhere else to go, and you don't want to do that anyway, because those are the worst. You're probably going to attract the reps that you don't want. But what companies can do is provide more value to the reps, provide marketing in-house. That was something that you see as a lead generator, is reps that come up to me and they're single reps, they're closing 5-6 deals a month, and they want to do marketing, but on a single rep paying an agency just $1,500 a month, it doesn't necessarily make sense. It's riskier than if you were able to kind of combine together and get marketing from your company itself. I think that's ultimately where we're kind of heading. They're feeding you as well, and
yeah.
And that's kind of the whole idea behind everything is, I understand the independent spirit that everybody has in solar. There's so many CEOs in solar, but I don't think they know what that really means. You know what I mean? They know what
it's almost like founder. Founder is another one that I see, and I'm like, you bet. I don't. If it's something I've never heard of, I'm like, ooh. I mean, it might be big, but it's just a funny term.
Yeah, I won't even call myself the CEO of my company. You know what I mean? I don't feel like it's David is a CEO of a multi-billion-dollar company. That makes a lot of sense, right? Over at Titan, right? So yeah. I'm like, well, we do a lot of sales numbers. We don't know, whatever, but really what I'm trying to have it set up to do is just get it so that people have a resource that, they can plug into. Obviously there's monetizability from our end, but the things that lack a lot is account management, people even understanding the accounting of what they're dealing with solar. The amount of people that don't understand clawbacks and how they really affect your payroll and stuff is it blows me away that people have made it this far in this industry and not understood that. It's almost wiped me out 3 times, you know what I mean? Just massive clawbacks from reps that got tons of money up front. You know what I mean? So anyways.
So we'll get into that now, because it kind of is a bunch of different things that we can we just touched on, that a good story that we have that can kind of encompass it, which is number one, we do see a lot of people that hire as many reps as possible. I'll hire anybody, get them in here, no training, here's how you sell, blah, 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 sell as many deals. And those are a lot of times when we run into issues as far as cancellations and not having loan docs and not having things signed, like not selling the way that it's supposed to be. And that causes a lot of people to lose out on money that everyone thinks is happening. So what I'm alluding to is I was the marketing director and I worked with Andrew Weiss, and I made a bunch of mistakes in working with him because I reached out. I was like, there's a few guys I saw in the industry. I thought, I could work with him. I could help him. I wanted to be the marketing guy because what I see as the future of solar is individual solar companies having their own marketing person on staff, providing lead gen to all their reps so that the reps don't have to go and pay. And then also they're tied right into the appointment setting. And I was like, I reached out to a few people. I decided to go with Andrew, and that didn't work out well for me. But I know that you also get asked like every day about what happened with you and Andrew Weiss. So just give us a little background about kind of how your guys' relationship happened. What was obviously the results, and kind of what did you learn from it?
Yeah, so Andrew and I got connected through Facebook. He reached out to me randomly to talk about some post. The kid was just a massive internet troll, right? And I always thought it was kind of funny. I'm like, whatever, like the kid, that's just how he is, right? So we get to talking. He had given me the sob story about every solar company he'd worked for, and been a rep for him. And I'm like, hey, you know what? I'm going to help you out. Like, I need to get something that's door-to-door focused going, and I don't want to build it. Like, I don't, so why don't I bring you in and I'll get you set up. And I think the mistake I made right off the bat is I let him act autonomously and be completely in control of everything he did. Had I not, I think things would be better for a lot of people. But regardless, the deal was that he'd come in, he'd be a sub dealer for me through my Titan dealership. And he had a very healthy funding structure. And the point was to fund him enough to get him to build that team large, which he did, and bring him volume. So he did all those things, and it was a positive relationship up until it wasn't. We started recognizing that 60% of his projects were canceling. Whether it was from actual cancels from customers that are just opting out versus not getting a full sale, right? Like, to me, a sale is signed contract, signed loan docs, any utility bill that you need. If you have the utility docs available, those are signed. Like, it's a complete packet, right? With the pictures, everything. Well, he was bringing in contracts with no loan docs and submitting them into our install partner. He was bringing in maybe a signed loan and install agreement, but couldn't seem to get a copy of an electric bill or a copy of homeowner's insurance, whatever. It was just a big array of things that were causing his cancel rate to skyrocket. Well, if you do the math on what I was giving them up front versus what was being clawed back because of the cancellations, you'd realize real quick that starts to go backwards. So basically, I wake up one morning back in August, and I was expecting a certain amount of money to be funded. Turns out it was not that amount of money. Right? It was like short $300,000. I flipped out. I made a very, I didn't think before I acted, made a text saying I was looking for a new national install partner. I thought it was my installer that was screwing with me, right? And really I was looking in the wrong direction. Instead of looking at the person that was causing the problem, I'm thinking it's the installer, right? So that's a whole other conversation, but I've worked that out with them. But with Andrew that day, I found out, I'm like, okay, so here's why my pipeline's getting wiped out is cancel rates. I'm putting a freeze on your funds until I have a handle of what's going on here, right? So that day he's blowing me up. He wants his money. He starts, swearing at me. So I start swearing back. It was not a very pretty conversation. And then finally, I get a call from him saying, hey, just reassign my pipeline to me at this installation contractor. And I said, sure, happily. Like, I want out of this conversation. So signed the document that day. His pipeline's now his. He was still owed a little bit of money from me, right? It was, he was thinking it was about $150,000. I wasn't sure what the number was. It took between me and that installation contractor like 4, 5, 6 weeks to get through the nightmare of passing over 500 projects to somebody. And in that period of time, while I told him you're going to have to wait until I have an exact number, he decided to send me some emails with the executives of this said contractor talking about how he was going to attack my family and my kids and my brother's wife. And we'll just leave the details of the conversation out. But at that point, I let him deal with our attorneys. We signed a settlement saying everything has been paid in full. He has been paid in full by power of our son, and everything else is his own problem. So I really wish that from the jump I would have taken that different, because I do think that Andrew was a good kid. I think that he found himself in a mathematical nightmare where a lot of people are getting hurt. But regardless of that, his approach to it has been not how I would handle things, you know. But
yeah, and I agree. And I remember that day in August. I remember I was at a splash pad, like a outdoor playground with water everywhere, and I was with my 3-year-old, and I was there, and I remember I was getting calls from Andrew, like trying to figure out what I think there was a Facebook post, either yours or his, I don't know, but Facebook was blowing up about whatever was going on, and I was trying to do like damage control, like, and then I think at one point you did share something like a similar email, and I was like, Andrew, did you send this? I was like, dude, you can't do things like that, like that's not your whatever. And I was trying to, my whole thing was when I started working with him, I thought I knew he was a troll. I did, like you, I kind of liked it. I was like, that's funny. I mean, that's kind of the solar industry, is we kind of appreciate trolls more than other places, I think.
Right.
And I was just looking for, I was burnt out from trying to be an agency, because as an agency owner, what I found was helping all these different clients. Number one, it wears you thin. Your campaigns, you're not able to spend as much time as you want. You're not able to give as good of results as you might hope. But then also you're still relying on them to have the business processes and the procedures and the ability to call and close and follow up. And most companies don't have that. So it's just running an agency is very, very tiring. And so what I was looking at was, I'm looking for a single partner. Like, I think if a installer partners with a marketing person, like, you can have a lot of success. And I approached Andrew, we made something work. And he was, I mean, it was decent for the first month or so. And then I remember that was in the first month. And then after a while, I couldn't get him on the phone. He wouldn't reply to my text messages. And then he started missing my payments for me. And then I was like, I messaged his right-hand guys, cause I know they talk to him probably daily. And I was like, hey, I don't have a problem. Like, if finances are tough or things are challenging, I just need to know. Like, you can't just, if you're not going to pay me, that's fine. Just communicate so I understand what's going on. And then what happened was they figured out a way to back charge my past payments. And that's kind of what I was like, okay, I'm done with this. And then it starts to kind of leak out how many other people have had issues. And obviously the more info that we get, one of the big things I want to throw out there for anyone that's pissed off, which there's a lot of them, is almost everyone got screwed in this matter. There's people getting, Andrew feels like he got screwed. You obviously got screwed. Titan's not happy about it. I'm people like me aren't happy. The sales reps, I feel like they're owed. And it's, number one, the biggest thing is there's a lot of lack of communication, as far as people close deals that they thought were good deals, but they don't even understand that it got canceled until ever. There's people probably that have deals that they're waiting to get paid for that don't realize the deal got canceled 3 months ago. But the big thing is that goes back to what we were talking about. And the lesson here is making sure that anyone that you hire, anyone that you bring on, that we have systems and processes to make sure that they're successful and they're not going to be a liability to us. But
yeah, and I probably shouldn't have gambled as much as I did with them. It was it's unfortunate.
But I think it was interesting that we talked about this right after we talked about your process for reps. And you notice, and the mistake with Andrew, it seems, was you kind of just gave him free, hey, hiring a rep on and saying, yeah, go for it, man. Here's the lead, go for it. Right. And it's kind of the same thing, except obviously it's a different position in a way. And we have to be sure that we're at least that there's criteria and rules and people are following the rules, because it's easy for us to just look at number of installs or how good they're doing or how good they're at recruiting and kind of turn a blind eye to it. But it typically will catch up to us, it seems.
100%. Yeah. But definitely. The more tight you can be with your numbers and everything you're doing, the better, it's, every time I thought I had a good handle on it, something came in and, taught me a new lesson. I was like, man, it's never ending within this industry. But at the same time, that's not to say that I have a negative thought on the industry. I think that it's so new, and I feel like the whole model needs to be changed in a way, because it's a dangerous setup. It's
very dangerous.
There's so much money that goes into this that it does create and attract anybody and everybody. And sometimes not every setup is really built out for the rep's best interest or in the installer's best interest, or hell, both ways. Everybody's looking out for themselves. And, I think that the more, orgs, and especially on the sales org side, right? Because yes, we bring the sales to the installers, but I feel like, and this is bad to say on my end, right? I feel like the installers should make more so that they can improve their processes, right? Which is really going to wind up being better for everybody anyways. But the installer needs to be looked out for more, definitely. Like I have such a big experience with Titan, huge installer. They do so much volume, and, like those guys will do anything to appease everybody. That's the one thing I know about those guys is they'll do things to they want people to have a good experience with them, but when they get beat down and competing on red line, right? Like it gets to a point where, man, even when you're doing $2 billion in sales, right? Like things can get hairy for them. And it's just, I don't know. I want to see a whole different approach to this industry. My first crack at it is what I'm doing now. You know what I mean? I'm sure people will follow suit. It's a logical approach to what I'm doing. Maybe not. I don't know. We'll see. But I'm excited to at least crack into it and see what the ultimate response is from people. Just because, I think for once, if there was an org out there that just provided insane amounts of value to not only the reps, not only the installers, but just everybody that's involved in that process and make it a happier place in general, I think you'll see a lot of flourishing that comes from that. You know what I mean? So just build better relationships as a whole. So
yeah.
Is that your kid in the background or my kid? I couldn't.
No, I have a crying 3-year-old at my door.
No problem.
Trying to find his mother, but yeah, I mean the biggest thing is I know we both are involved with the Andrew Weiss drama, whether we like it or not. And I mean, I think the biggest things I want to make sure to put out there is number one, everyone is screwed. Andrew is not. It's not like Andrew's has millions of dollars in his bank account right now and he's chilling because he screwed everybody. I also don't think Andrew was trying to scam anyone. I don't even know if you could call it scamming, but I think he's just didn't have his operations and procedures as well. And then when things like clawbacks started to happen, by the time they happened, things were so in the red that no one even really knew what to do about it. And yeah, it's a tough situation. Another thing too, Andrew, I know you don't really talk to me anymore, but you're more than welcome to come and talk on a video interview. I want to do a video interview with him when he was running, when we were working together at Cadessa. I was like, hey, this would be good. It'd be great recruiting. You're funny. You'd be good on video. And he never wanted to do that. But at any time, I'm not trying to put stuff out there without giving somebody the ability to defend themselves. So the other thing,
I definitely don't think, if I'm being honest, I don't think Andrew intended to screw anybody, and I don't think he's running around with people's money. I actually know he's not.
Yeah,
I can do the math on everything that he went through, and he owes people a lot of money, but that money's gone. And where it is it's with reps right now that have a bunch of canceled projects that he's never going to see that money back. Sure, the kid went on some trips and stuff and bought some, but I can tell you when we transferred his pipeline, it was 500 projects. You do the math on how much money that is, right? And he paid out a lot of reps and he did a lot of things. And, when you have groups within his group that are going around flipping projects, they were paid those upfronts on that money. And now they're running off and selling that deal through some other installer. And that installer is really the asshole for taking the project. That's if you really break it down, he had his stuff get shortened up with me because he had massive amounts of cancels. He had already had money going out. When we made the transfer, it was a mess for him. It was a mess for me. It was a mess for everybody. And, I'm sure the kid's trying to figure out how to pick up his pants and get it all figured out, but, I know he's not running around with millions of dollars of people's money. He's broke and trying to fix it is, I'm sure, what I would hope he's doing. But we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, that's my impression as well. But I don't want to spend too much time talking about it other than maybe kind of the lessons that ties into what we were talking about. So tell me about your, what you are building. It sounds like it's more Is it with a specific installer? Like how is what you're building? Is it open to multiple installers? Because I think what I think of is when we're talking about installers and you want or them being in a position where they're able to make more money, or they're in a position to control or train their reps so that their reps are higher quality reps. And the reason they can't do that, or that it's a challenge for them to do that, because as soon as they do that, they're going to cut their sales force and they're not going to be able to compete against the people that just, I mean, that's the thing. Everyone's running around trying to find the best installation partner. And if one installation partner gives a higher red line and more training and they have more requirements to sell with them, it's going to be hard for them to kind of increase their revenue at the rates that they're currently increasing. But what is your does it have a name? Like, what is your business that you're setting up that works with multiple installers?
Yeah. So Power On is the name of the platform. It's just a spin off of Power of Our Sun, right? It's a platform that we're building within Power of Our Sun. And really where the idea came from was, I've been running a virtual team through the whole time that I was working with Andrew. Actually, I was running a virtual sales team. And then, I had one rep that decided he would go through and sign 70 forged contracts with the bank and with the installer, and they were all fraudulent deals, and you made off with like $200,000, and I had to go and cancel 70 projects. And so I finally said, you know what? I take all the risk on all this ad spend. I'm spending $250,000 a month on this stuff, and I have one rep or one thing goes wrong, and I'm the one that takes the complete kick in the junk, So I closed that team down. I kept open another team that we have. And, when I shut that down, I got reached out to by a lot of people. Like, I think I had like 90 job offers in 48 hours or something crazy. It's like, this is nuts. I'm showing my wife, like, this is insane. But I did get to meet with some really awesome people, well-known people in the industry. And, I took a different approach to it. I said, hey, you know what? I want to come work with you guys. I still have one of my higher producing team is still working with me. And, we just got diving into the conversation a little bit. And inside of that conversation, I'm hearing the margins that specific contractor is making. I'm not going to say who they are, nothing like that. But it's like 7 cents. And I'm looking at that. I was like, dude, that's nuts. And like, you're trying to be competitive with, lower red lines and stuff. And I was like, I'll tell you what I want to do. Like, I want you to put me at like a 2-3. But here's the difference. Like, I need you to fund the ad spend. And instead of you having to build out a sales team for yourself, I already know how to do that. I already have numbers to prove that I know what I'm doing, and let me just manage that for you as an external party. But then the deal is you get the higher red line, and then you get your ad spend recoup on the back end as well. Right. So you get the return on ad spend right off the bat on the back end. You protect the project, but then I want you to have a higher red line because you're going to take the risk, that upfront capital for those ads. But I want a pretty decent amount I want a budget. Like, I need a real budget. So we started doing that. It's working. And I approached another installer with that. They signed off on it. And then I have another installer that I've talked to about that. They want to, and the combined aggregate of ad spend is $400,000 a month. My goal is to get to about $1 million a month in ad spend across multiple installers throughout the country. So within Power On, we have two different types of clients, right? One is going to be the sales force, the sales people, representatives, that kind of stuff. The other client is really the installers, right? More so EPCs. We're looking for people that don't really have vertical integration, that kind of stuff. We're looking for guys that, man, they might just be blue collar. They might just be installers, or maybe they just, they just don't know how to run a sales team. And you give them that channel for them to have a sales team where they get to funnel, they're making the investment into that sales team. They don't actually have to manage it, but they also get to see the rewards of that higher rip off of those projects. So they're getting an ROI on the extra money that they're spending, not just beating them down to the lowest red line they can get, So by adding 30, 35 cents, 40 cents in margin to these projects, right now you're starting to see profitability if you're doing 100, 200 deals a month with that specific contractor. So that's one client, right, is the installer. What we would do is we would generate the leads for them and just sell them for them too. Right? Like, that's the whole thing is like, we're an agency that is going to create the leads and close them for you. All you have to do is pay for the ad spend, right? So then the other client are going to be, people are signing up faster than I thought they would. reps, and those reps can be individuals, they can be sales organizations, and we're talking to dudes that do 200-300 deals a month type stuff, where we bring them in. They're going to go through an entire rigorous virtual sales training process where we teach them solar sales 101, like the basic stuff, like what's the difference between kilowatt and kilowatt hour? How do bank fees work? How do you price out a system? How do you size the system based on the different types of utility rate structures that exist throughout the nation? You're selling virtually. You're going to have to learn them all, and you got to know what you're doing. Otherwise, you're going to get a lawsuit, right? So the basics. And then we get into a much more in-depth virtual sales training course that I run with, I'm not going to say his name yet because we haven't launched it, but somebody else who does a lot of volume in solar sales. So he'll get launched. We will announce that on Wednesday, but the whole point of that training is to get these guys and girls up to speed with how to handle leads the right way, right? So that the golden carrot for them at the end is then I'm going to pump leads from that $1 million a month in ad spend over here to these reps plus my team and anybody that's a part of that organization. But I don't just want to bring anybody and everybody in because I've already grown to learn that I can't trust everybody in this industry. But if I spend 90 days with you and you're putting in the effort to get trained up, and take tests and become certified within our platform, that means you have the ambition to actually get through this. And those are the types of people I want to bet my money on. Right. So, that's the individual rep. And then when you bring in the sales orgs, we have a marketing agency built out within our company where we'll just do your marketing for you if you want. We'll provide you systems if you want. We have a full, sales platform built out within Salesforce that, all of those things come with certain tiers and packages within the program. So the platform is you don't have to be plugged into all of it to be a part of it. You can just go through individual pieces. But the entire suite is to get people in where literally all they have to focus on doing is selling deals and paying their ad spend and running an actual business. Right. So we just need to get them trained up to be able to do that first and foremost. Right. So, that's a big, probably convoluted explanation of what it is we're building, but
I think it's very smart. I mean, I think it's awesome. I think it's similar to what I have thought about, but I think it's done in a more encompassing manner because you're getting the installation company to be the one to contribute all of the ad spend, if not the majority of the ad spend. And then when you're doing that, you're also able to generate enough value to verify or to validate the higher red line. And then at the same time, you're going to attract reps that are interested in maybe not interested in, but they will at least invest enough time to get the training that's required because they respect the process enough to do that. I think it's awesome. And I think the other cool thing about it is that because you're not limited to one installer necessarily, you're able to expand and grow and hopefully grow a team of legitimate reps that can start making some noise. So is there a website for that?
It's poweronsalesystem.com.
Poweronsalesystem.com. Yep. And I'm assuming power doesn't have a U in it.
No.
Okay. Just making sure.
It's always been annoying. They came up with that name around the same time I came up with my company. And I was like, good Lord.
Oh, man.
Everyone's going to come up with some spin of power, right?
Well, I mean, how many energy pros are there out there? How many, there's a few names that are energy spelled with no E, but starting with an N. There's a bunch of names that you see out there all over the place. And it's interesting. Yeah, power I thought about power earlier based on what you were saying about the whole red line, because I was thinking one solution is, charge your reps a monthly $50 fee or whatever if you're able to provide systems and stuff. Power, it's just on that front, it is an interesting thing to think about is if a company was able to do that, then that would help them with their maintaining that low red line, but you do have to provide value to make people think it's worth it.
And I mean, the reality is the amount of things that we provide within this platform. It's not just systems, right? It's account management. If you're a part of the platform, it's hands-on training with somebody. I've done 100 million in solar sales. You know what I mean? I don't know if that's valuable to people or not, but I put a lot of freaking glass on the roof. So you've got the training, you've got the coaching, you have access to the network. I mean, I can tell you right now, if I said one of the names of one of the installers, everybody knows this guy. So it's not just any installer. I'm going after the right people, right? The people that want, that want to change this thing in the right way. I'm still working on my, the biggest install contractor that I've worked with, but they do things differently. So we'll see if they ever sign up and jump on board, but who knows? You know what I mean?
The thing too is when you have it more proven, it's going to be a lot easier they will probably come running to you at some point and you won't have to chase them. Because it just, not only does it provide value, but it provides them with more money and also saves them more time if the deals that are coming are as great and clean as you would hope that they are if the person knows and is trained properly. So interesting. What do you like? What are your goals for that company? Like, do you have any set goals for the next year or so? Like, how big do you think you want to take it?
There's a sales organization that exists that's very big. They might be the largest one, and I don't want them to be the largest one anymore.
Okay.
That's where my head always goes. I'm a competitive dude,
Who is the largest sales organization though? I don't know.
What I know of right now,
yeah.
I think they just started their own install company. They might be the largest sales organization.
Is that I know you're trying not to name them. Is that Legacy?
I think so, yeah. If I was to guess, I would think they're probably the largest.
It's fine, man. You don't have to name drop them. I will. No, but because
I'm not calling them out. I have no, I'm not starting.
No, I just interesting because you don't really. That's something that when you bring on people to the industry or telling people about the industry, they don't really understand like the whole dealer model and how there are companies, but they're not. They're working with installation companies, and there's companies like Power that are the middleman between reps and installation companies, and it's just it is kind of convoluted and big, but that's awesome, man. So you're looking to be the biggest. How are you going to be training that many reps? Are you going to do it in like a standardized course format online? Is it going to be live training? Is it going to be in person? And are you going to be teaching that yourself, or do you have to obviously hire somebody to do that?
It's a combination of all of those things. So initially, as we launch, I'm going to do a lot more hands-on training with clients as we bring them in. Naturally for the success rates and stuff, I'm just going to take that with a white glove, but then we're going to record those trainings and then we're going to apply those. But then we have a Facebook group that we're putting, if you have to be a part of the platform to be in that Facebook group. And then there's going to be live trainings on there, but within a group format so that I'm not literally having one-on-one Zooms with people all week, every week for the rest of my life. I do have some sales trainers that are coming on board that are also going to jump into this, and they've done, some of them might have actually sold more solar than I have. You know what I mean? It's some pretty impressive dudes, but so it kind of a combination of all things, but there is a course format where, when you get on, like the first course is literally just videos and you have to take a test. If you can't pass that, we're not going to step 2. You know what I mean? You're going to pass this test. You're going to know all the basics, right? And then when we get into step 2 and we get into it's training the pitch, right? Like it's all virtual centered. It's not, we're not doing any kind of like door-to-door training at the moment. This is training reps specifically how to generate leads online and how to sell them through Zoom calls. Not much different than this. And how to deliver the information in the appropriate sequence so that you're taking the customer down the right psychological path to where the only logical thing to do next is to open up a credit application and start filling it out. There are ways to do that, right? And get people to be happy about it because you're delivering the information in the right order so that it all makes sense to them. And if they have half of a brain and it's actually a good winning investment for them, then it's logical for them to sign. So,
when they get to the point where they're asking for the next step, they're the one that's ready. Like, okay, so I need to get my credit checked then. What do I need to do to do that? And
exactly. And so the biggest thing, like really, if I'm just being honest, this whole platform, I'm opening up everything that we do, and I've got some stuff that I don't just talk about on Facebook. Like, oh, hey, here's how I do this, and this, right? Like, seems like anytime I tell somebody one thing that I'm doing, it tends to get put into a program and resold to people in their platform. But anyways,
it's funny because it's just the nature of online, like anytime, or if you talk about how an ad's working, then all of a sudden everyone's going to go and find the ad and copy it and it's going to be everywhere online. And it's just, that's why you have to stay fresh and make sure that you are always changing and always adapting because everything changes fast, especially in solar.
It moves so quick. It's a fast moving industry, but
Real quick,
no,
I want to go back. I want to go back to. I apologize for interrupting. I want to go back to. You were saying you're training people on how to do virtual, and you're doing Zoom calls. So you train people to do Zoom call closes rather than phone call closes.
Correct. It's a 2-call process, right? The first initial contact with the customer is definitely a phone call, right? You're going to do a discovery call with the customer, where the whole point of that call is to do 2 things. And one is to get them super excited about a new program that their utility company has, where they can eliminate or close to eliminate their electric bill.
And that's the part that most call centers miss out on, is getting them excited. But go ahead, continue.
Excited, right? So, and then we're going to make sure they qualify in the same conversation, right? And so, like, we teach that discovery call how to do that right, so that when you're doing a demo, right, a proposal is being presented to the customer, that it's really just showing numbers and they're already excited about it, you know? So like like I'll leave one nugget. Right now, what people are screwing up with digital lead gen is they're having call centers call those leads. They're having people that are not qualified to talk to those leads call those leads. The people that should be calling those leads are closers, salespeople, people that maybe they're not your best salespeople, right? But they are people that 100% have the characteristics needed to be a salesperson, and they're very good at speaking with people, and they understand how to get somebody excited about something, right? Those are the people that need to be doing that initial call, and you want to call them like a junior associate, right? They're training to close down the solar deals and make the larger commissions. But I actually put more value in those guys than I do the people that actually run the demos, to be honest. Like, I don't think closers should be put on a pedestal the way that they are. Like, and I'm not going to hurt a lot of people's feelings, but the reality is the person who got you in front of that person is the person that deserves the high five. And if that was you yourself, then yeah, you're a badass, right? But if you're just there closing appointments that other people are setting for you, you're doing the easiest part of the job, right? So you get salespeople to go through and work those leads as junior associates, and they set up demos in like a pod structure, a teamwork environment. And then you have the senior representative actually give out the numbers and get the bank doc signed, the person that really just understands all the little nuances, right? Like, you get thrown the curveball questions, right? The degradation rate of the panels or whatever, the stupid stuff that like every once in a while comes up because somebody just has to know like what a VOC rating is. You know what I mean? It's like, I don't know either. I'm going to Google that. I'll tell you, give me a second. Right. But like, the point, what I'm getting at is that process has to be really well dialed in for virtual sales. And so, yes, we do a Zoom presentation on the second call. The reason being is we're going to trust each other a lot more if I can see your face and look at your eyes and you feel like you know me because you've actually seen my physical presence, versus me just having a conversation with you on a phone, right? You might get people to buy because you're really slick on the phone and you know how to use your words, but your cancel rate is going to be higher. And I guarantee you will close more if you're good at doing it on the phones than you are if you do it with Zoom, right? So a couple of things. You can show people numbers. People learn by seeing, not by hearing. Some people have auditory learning, right? But the biggest percentage of people learn from seeing stuff. So if you can show them and circle numbers on a screen and force them to look at what you want them to look at, you tend to get a better result, you know? And so we use Aurora as our design tool, and we do 3D imaging of their home, and we give them a little walk around and show them, oh, hey, here's what the panels look like on your roof. And then we have a really well thought out presentation that is very simple. It's not, clustered up with tons of numbers, and each page just walks you down the sequence of explaining how solar works, how it gets installed, how the tax credit works, and then how it applies into the monthly payment, right? So like a really well thought out demonstration as well will lead to higher closes. So once we get somebody to the point of demo, it's about a 1 in 2 close, about 50% of them close. But the thing is, we're closing 4% of the leads that we bring in. So it's just setting proper expectations and people understanding like a lead is really just a person sitting on the toilet that saw a picture, that clicked it and typed in their info and saw a calendar and freaked out and backed out. Their level of interest is like a 1. Your level of interest is a 10 because you think that you're going to make 10 grand on every lead that you sell, right? So once you can go through and logically understand that you got to take somebody from a 1 to a 10 to get them to sign that document, that's where the sales comes in. And that's where understanding how to take them and walk them down the right path so that it doesn't feel like they got railroaded, right? It doesn't feel like they are being tricked into anything. You're making multiple conversations happen so you don't lose them, right? Like if you get a lead and you take it from discovery and close in the same call, you still got a higher chance of that person canceling because they feel like they got railroaded more often than not, right? So
yeah, or they'll just, maybe they don't feel like they got railroaded, but like as time passes, they'll start to reflect on it, like, what did happen there? Why have I not?
A phone call, I signed 50 grand. What am I doing?
They get that first notice, like, hey, here, your site survey is coming tomorrow, and you're like, oh no, I forgot about that.
Yeah, and, like, oh, and I signed it's exactly. So it's just, it's all those little nuances that we're really teaching people. And, even the right way to approach the initial call with the discovery. So many people do it wrong. Hey, this is Johnny with so-and-so solar, and I just want to see why you clicked my ad, and it's like, no, like, never talk about the company name. And it's also very authoritative. You need to have a very quick, I'm not going to get into my pitch right now, to be honest, but
I can talk about what I've said, and I agree. I mean, I think number one, the biggest thing is you have to get them excited, because that's where the biggest mistake you see when people go and try to find overseas call center for as cheap as possible.
Sure.
And like, I'm not even talking about Mexico, I'm talking about like in the Philippines or wherever it might be. And you have these people calling the leads, or they just hire like some random, like, oh, I'll have my wife call my leads, and but they don't have the mindset or the understanding, and they just kind of go through it like it's a checklist. Like, okay, I'm just going to ask you a few questions. This question, okay, thank you. This question, okay, thank you. Not, number one, you're not building any rapport. But it's just super salesy, qualification, like qualifying. And at that point, then it's like, oh, great. Well, I'm going to have you talk to Jacob tomorrow. Are you free at 2 or 4 o'clock? But at that point, number one, they have no excitement, and they definitely don't care about Jacob. They don't even talk to Jacob. And that's the biggest mistake I think you see a lot of people make, is if you do have a different appointment setter, they have to be your hype man. They have to be the rep's hype man. They have to find a way to get them excited for it. And then the person, when they come into the appointment, they have to be able to maintain and improve that, because too many people treat online leads like they're golden. Like they get on the phone, it's like, hey, yeah, you wanted to buy solar, I want to get you the numbers, and they're
like, no, I thought this was an ad about a Tesla battery.
Or I've had people that buy leads because they don't want to knock doors, which is fine. But then like they sit at home and play Xbox all day, and they just expect like every single lead to be like a slam dunk, like right as soon as they get them on the phone. It's just, we have to understand that online leads are a very low level interest, like a step above knocking doors, or knocking a door of someone who these things about. And that's kind of like you said, the buyer has to treat them all. They think they're all crap. The marketer thinks that they're all perfect, they're golden, because that's the risk reward. But we have to be able to work together in a way that's repeatable and works, because they do work. Like, no matter what, there's people out there that are crushing it right now with online leads, like you are. There's like I've done successful campaigns, and you have to be able to have the processes, and once again, not drop the ball, not hiring outside call centers, not hiring outside lead sort companies where you can, but just realize that you have to have your procedures in place to make sure they're working cohesively together. And it sounds like that's kind of what you're doing over there. So, man, first, thank you so much for your time, dude. You brought a lot of value. Obviously, you're doing big stuff. I'm glad to hear that you're transitioning to something that I think this industry needs. Obviously, we already gave your website. If there's anyone listening to this that would want to reach out to you, learn about joining your program, learn about working with you, what's the best way for them to do that?
Have them just reach out to me directly online right now. PowerOnSalesSystem.com will take you to a funnel for them to click and fill their information out.
We love funnels. There's nothing wrong with funnels.
Yeah, like it is what it is. But I'm really big on talking to people online. I get blown up left and right from people.
One more time, what was the URL? I'm just gonna put it on the screen.
PowerOnSalesSystem.com.
PowerOnSalesSystem.com. Perfect.
Might be www. I'm not sure.
Oh no, it's okay. I'll just put it there. Just anyone watching, easily see it and go check it out and see what he's working on, because it sounds like it's going to be fast growing. So you want to make sure you get in quick and easy. And thank you again for your time, man. All I like to do is highlight people that are out there trying to make the industry a better place and do things the right way. And I think you definitely fall into that category. So thank you so much for your time, man. And we'll have to do it again sometime.
No, man, I appreciate you having me on as well. It's been fun.
All right, man. Let's go out there and grow.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll talk to you soon.